Sunday. Side by side at the microphone, from the green light to the speed trap, Ray Garino and Joe D calls them as they seize them, and you better believe them. Hear relevant news, biased opinion, and outright nonsense regarding every aspect of automotive culture. Gasp with mechanical trickery never before broadcast over FCC-regulated airwaves. Thrill to the explosive tension as Ray and Joe cuss each other down track, barrel roll across the finish line, laughing at certain disaster as they shake hands with the devil. All that and so much more at high noon this Sunday on the Motormouth Radio Hour. Call in and speak live with the Wizards of Speed and the Live Feed, Ray Garino and Joe D. Bring the whole family. Kids under 12 get in free every Sunday at noon on WHPC. Take the Hempstead Turnpike to the Meadowbrook Parkway and look for the no parking on the expressway and no express service on the Parkway side. Go right on Highway 24 to Garden City. $2 all-day parking includes pit pass.
All righty, you have tuned into the one and the only automotive talk show here on Long Island Motormouth Radio with your host, Ray Guarino, co-host Chris Switzer, man on the switch up there on the our favorite north. We have our web guy down in the south. We have people all over the place making this thing happen. We're here, and we're here to give you a good show today because we have a very special guest, and an old friend of ours, Mr. Artie Schilling. Chris, say hi to Artie.
Artie, how are you, my brother? How you been?
Good, Chris. Good to hear from you. Good to see you guys. I know we can see each other, they can't. But yeah, no, it's great. Really, really good. Good to be here.
Yeah, this is a very unique program because we've had you on the phone countless times, but now we get to see you in the flesh technologically. But we get to see you in the flesh finally. That's awesome.
That's why you don't do it.
Right.
Like throwing a beard and everything going here.
Yeah, we all have faces for radio, that's for sure.
So, Artie, we all know you, and the world knows you, of course, from your pinstriping prowess and from Artie's Party, that great entity that you did for many, many years. You know, for the people who don't know, give everybody a quick synopsis of who you are and how you got to where you are today, and then we'll go from there. We'll work into details as we go.
Yeah. Okay. It's crazy. I'm 75 this year. I turned 75. I've been pinstriping since I'm 13. Started out of Paterson, New Jersey, and traveled around quite a bit. Was on the road with rock and roll bands, ran stage security at the Capitol Theater in New Jersey, and stuff like that. Lived in Colorado for 20 years. And then we moved back east with family issues when my mom was passing away and all. And for not wanting to live in New Jersey again, not that it's anything against New Jersey, but I don't like to shovel snow. So we live in South Carolina now. And been down here for 17 years. And about 15 years ago, Bob O'Connor, who puts on the Syracuse National car show, had come down here to do a car show, and I was striping, and we got talking. He came over to my shop, and he saw the artwork hanging on the walls and all. And I explained to him what this was all about, and he said, I'd love to do it at Syracuse. And next thing you know, we wound up at Artie's Party in Syracuse. And Artie's Party was really, essentially, the first 2 years was held here at my shop. And the idea of it was my friends who live in other places could come in for the weekend, and we'd eat a lot of good food, with my wife being Italian. And we'd paint, and we'd pinstripe panels, piece of aluminum and stuff, and trade them with each other. And the whole idea of this was to keep the hand painting thing alive, the creativity alive. And when Bob saw that at my shop, and he said, I'd love to do it in Syracuse, I really, really can't say how this came out of my brain, but I said, yeah, I'd love to do it, but I'd love to do it for charity, if we could figure out a way to do it. And we did. In a matter of about 3 hours, we sat here and sorted it all out, and Artie's Party was started, and it went for 14 years.
And the people who have been involved with this show for years know that I was fortunate enough to be invited up there a number of times a few years ago. That's where you can get cool shirts like this.
Yeah, my Riviera, no less, too.
Get all these party shirts. And it's such a great thing. I hadn't been to a national event in a long time before that. And just to get back there, and I was able to bring my wife, so we actually got some away time and meet you and meet Bob and Dino and the other guys that are up there. We went up, the first year we went up, Chris, Billy Lynch was up there, and so was George Snyzik, and
wow,
a bunch of Long Island guys, and so it was just
Scott the other day. Matter of fact.
Yeah, so it was great, and it's the show. I haven't kept up with the national stuff in a while, but I know now, of course, in today's world, everything has changed. Things are just totally upside. They even canceled the governor canceled the state fair, which would have followed the Syracuse National.
Months later, yeah.
And it's the largest state fair certainly in this state, but in many states, it's huge because the Syracuse Fairgrounds, I think, was 400 or 600 acres, if I remember correctly. It's like some stupid amount of land.
Maybe 380 comes to my mind.
Okay, maybe. Well, maybe. Who knows?
It's big.
It's huge. It's huge.
Yeah.
I mean, it is big, but...
Artie, how big did Artie's Party actually get in the 14 years that you did it? Was the last one the biggest one?
No. Actually, it wasn't because I cut it back. What happened, when we first started, we had no idea how many people we could have there, what we could do there. I mean, this was a complete shot in the dark. And the first year, I think I had 27 artists came in. And it was funny because the charity that year was Parents Plus, which was a program that was just starting to step in. Like if a child lost a parent, a lot of times the soccer games would go away or the baseball practice or this or that. But this group was going to step in and going to keep that going for the children. I said to the guy who ran it, I said, we maybe can raise $3,000 or $4,000 for you here and help you out. I said, that would be great. We gave him $33,000 that year. And
wow.
It actually messed them up because they didn't know how to deal with that kind of money. They didn't know what to do with it. So it took a while for them to get on their feet with that. But from there, every year it just kind of grew a little bit more. And the high year was, I think, about 4 years ago, 3-4 years ago, because of the fact that I wouldn't say no to anybody. I think I had like 73 artists there. And it was a little bit tight quarters, but we managed and we worked and we produced a lot. And I think we raised $78,000 that year.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think we spoke to you that year. It was about 3-4 years ago. I think we spoke to you.
I was just talking about this the other day with somebody, and this is what blows my mind about this. I'm just a guy from New Jersey. I am what I am, and I've been fortunate to have a lot of friends. I did seminars in the sign industry at Atlantic City Convention Center, a place like that, with a couple of different companies, and I got to know a lot of people. And to be able to pick up the phone and to call Tom Kelly in California, whose grandfather was the Baron and Roth. I forget that one.
Big Daddy.
And Tom Kelly is one of, to me, I've said this in public many times, probably the best striker in the world. But to turn around, pick up the phone, call Kelly, call Nat Quick, call Glenn Weisgerber, call these guys and say, hey, I'm doing this thing, would you come out? And they all came. And it became like the who's who of the striking world. By no intention, doing this. But it was so great because people got to see these guys work. The other artists got to meet each other. The friendships and the camaraderie that has come from that and has stayed and continues on and on is the great part. The money was great for the charity, but on a personal basis, I got to hang out with all of these people, and it's just been a great experience.
It's amazing.
It's been really super. It was a lot of fun to do it.
Artie, one of the things that always boggles my mind is, when I hear in any of the areas that I associate with, like now with you with the striping, and then in the music world and the car world, where people like yourself who have provenance will say, this guy is one of the best. there's so many. It boggles my mind because there's so many genres. Like stripers are all so individual. I mean, yes, you all use one shot. You all use brushes, and you all put paint on metal,
right.
And that's about where that ends. Because you're all so uniquely.
It's abstract art.
Yeah,
it really is. It's funny. I've had so many times where people will see me doing this, or been at my shop or something, and they'll say, "Oh yeah, I'm an artist." I say, "Yeah, I'd like to try that." I hand them the brush, and I show them how to load the brush and do it, and they can pull that line, but they don't know where to go with it. Mm-hmm. And there's a kind of a mentality that I think you have to be a hot rod guy or a car guy first to become a striper. Because if you're not in that genre, you don't know what to make. If that makes
you
sense.
have
design-wise and stuff,
it's funny, Artie, because you have to be an artist, you have to be a creator, but you also have to be an engineer.
I always say I would rather teach somebody with a mechanical drawing background as opposed to somebody with an artistic background.
Mm-hmm.
Because striping is in a lot of ways, very mechanical. It's very uniform. If you're doing symmetrical, especially, it's got to be so tight. And that's the thing that always amazes people. I say, how do you get the left side look like the right side? We don't know.
Good question.
But the idea is, to do that. It's a very structured in one sense, and in the other sense, it's very abstract. So the thing contradicts itself and all. I've never figured it out. I've been doing it for 60-some years, and every time I do something, when I finish it, it's never what I set out to do. Never.
Wow.
I've never, ever gone with the plan. But it's great.
You did something very unique at Artie's party, and you got all the stripers together and had them do bits and pieces of different artwork, like everybody had contributed to the same. That to me is fascinating. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, it's called a panel jam, and I didn't originate it. This has been done in different places before, but we kind of took it to the extreme. What we would do is we would take a table, a 8-foot folding table, and we do this, now mind you, right in the middle of a car show. Okay? I mean, people are walking around with the striping area is cordoned off with tables so that they can work in there comfortably. But out on the auction floor in front of the stage, before an auction, we would pull out this 8-foot table, and we take a sheet of sheetrock and we cut it long ways down the middle, score it, so we can bend it, and it made a 8-foot long easel, if that makes sense, two-sided thing. We take 6 pieces of aluminum, usually black, because we're from New Jersey, and we'll talk about that. But we put the 6 pieces of aluminum up on the easel, and then we pick out 6 artists. Each guy would pick a color, and you would go up to the easel, and in front of everybody, in front of the whole audience, we say, okay, start striping. And you would start striping on your panel. In 2 minutes, we'd stop, and everybody take 1 step to the right, to the easel next to you, or to the panel next to you.
Wow.
So in 12 minutes, everybody would have worked on every one of them panels.
For 2 minutes apiece.
Color, 2 minutes apiece. So you'd wind up with a piece of black aluminum with 6 colors on it, and then we'd all sign them. And I think the thing that we did a little bit different, and I did it for, I think, a good purpose. We used to do these things all the time in Atlantic City at the car show and at Detroit and all. And we just say, hey, you want to stripe? You want to get on that? You want to get on that? But when we did it at Artie's party, Howie Nesgar from up there in Poughkeepsie, an old friend of mine, Howie would run it. And Howie would pick Tom Kelly from California, Ken the Flat Top from Japan, Ricky from Oslo, Norway, Misty J from Patterson, New Jersey. We get 6 completely different people from all different walks of life and sides of the earth and all, and particularly 6 different styles, and we put them together. And we actually, some of those panels, I have one of them here in my shop that is signed by Tom Kelly, and like I said, Kelly's grandfather was the Baron and Roth. Tom Kelly is actually the guy who did all them Roth t-shirts back in the early 60s, the airbrush and all. That was Tommy's stuff, and he was like 16 years old.
Wow.
But Tom Kelly, Nat Quick, who did the Starship album cover, the Jefferson Starship Earth album cover.
Cool.
Also did a lot of the work for the Fillmore, did a lot of the posters for it and all. He was an aircraft artist in that. And Tom Kirby did most of the funny cars in Northern California. He did the lettering and all on it and all. And we have him, and then say Mr. J from Patterson, Ken the Flat Top from Japan, Neil Melior from England. We'd mix all these guys up. And the panel that I have in the shop with the 6 signatures on it, they auctioned for $280 a piece before we paint them. Because people find them just because of who the artists were on that thing, and they didn't understand what they got. So the panel jams, and they still continue to do that. They do that in Cincinnati at the Crazy Paint Meet out there, and in Detroit and all. So it's part of the deal.
Yeah,
it's for the fun.
Fascinating.
And there's guys, on the Plane and Traffic show on Thursday nights, which we'll talk about later. There's we had a few stripers on in the last month or so, and the guys have been saying they're still doing that. That technique has been borrowed, and guys are still doing that around the country. Sometimes informally, and sometimes a little more formally.
We tagged back in October of last year at the Winfield Gathering, Gene's show out there. I flew out, Zeke Lemansky from up in Chicopee, Massachusetts, and Howie from up there in Poughkeepsie. They flew in, we met each other in LA, and we went out to Gene's. We got out to Gene's about 5 o'clock, and we walked in, and nobody was around. And I said to the one guy who was there, I said, where is everybody? Oh, they're in the spray booth. And Gene had, at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, picked up a new F-350 Ford truck, the big one with the diesel, a crew cab, dually thing on, at Galpin Ford at 3 in the afternoon, drove it home to Mojave, and they had it in the spray booth already, and it was white, and we panel painted it in burgundy and magenta and all, and everybody was in there taping, and they sprayed it, and then the next morning, Saturday morning, which was the day of Gene's show, Gene says, you guys are going to stripe it. I said, well, we're not going to do it during the show. Plus, got to clear it first. He said, no, I don't want you guys leaving here without striping that thing. So Sunday morning, Howie, Zeke, and I got up and we outlined every panel on this thing and then did some retrospective. And so we ganged it. We did it together. And that's a cool part of this whole thing that we do, is getting to do stuff with other people, sharing it, and that kind of makes it work. Because we all understand each other. We're all a little wacky.
Even on vacation, there's no vacation. It's still like massive amounts of work under a short deadline.
Yeah. It's crazy. We flew in on Thursday afternoon, got there at 5 o'clock. Friday, set the whole place up. Saturday, did the car show and the auction. Sunday, got up, striped the whole truck, finished it in the afternoon, and then left, and then we drove back into LA to go see an old friend of ours who had been going through a bout of cancer. And we went and visited him, and then we went over to Tom Kelly's shop, and I think we maybe stopped at Chip Foose on that trip too. But we're like kids on a field trip when we do this. Right. A lot of fun. Cool.
Wow. Yeah, just to make a stop in over Chip Foose's place is like, oh yeah, there's a highlight. Awesome.
Yeah. It's still flourishing. It's still. I'm still this kid from New Jersey who reads the little Hot Rod magazine, and the people that I get to meet and get to spend time with and hang out with and all is just. Like I said, Ed Iskandarian just turned 99 the other day, and
wow.
Iski Cams. And last year I had Linda with me out at Winfield, and Linda had never met Ed. And Gene took over and introduced her. I said, this is Artie's wife. And later on, Iski comes up to me and says, did you marry your daughter?
What?
She's 10 years younger than me. She looks younger, And he was joking, but I just, I'm in awe of all these people, because of what they've done, what they've accomplished over the years and stuff like that. So it's not a hard job to take. Let me say, I love it. I love it dearly.
Well, at the end of the day, it's a good life. It's it's a blessing. There's a lot of good that's been bestowed your way, which is good because you're one of the guys that pays it back. You know how to pay back, and that's lost on. We kind of talked about that before the show. That's lost on a lot of current society.
Yeah.
People just aren't doing that, and it's a little.
I think a lot has to be. It's always said about how when you have too much, you don't appreciate it. I think that's a thing with us, you guys, me, and a lot of guys in the hot rod scene. I mean, basically, especially East Coast, we came out of nothing. I mean, we didn't have these custom shops and all, around as much as they did out in the West Coast, and we didn't have a lot of the knowledge and the resources that they had out there. So East Coast guys were, I think, more hands-on in a lot of ways than other people. And I think we have a tendency to appreciate it more. It's something very interesting I have come to find over all of these years. We all, being New York area guys, we've always looked to California. California is the holy grail. California is where all the custom cars and all come from. And the first time I was out at the Roadster show in LA, and I was talking to somebody, and I said, I'm from New Jersey, and they said, wow, you are the guys that have the cool custom car show. Guys on the West Coast all think that the car shows in the East were all much bigger and everything like that.
Really?
So it's, and it's funny, here we are back East thinking, oh my God, I'd love to get to go to Pomona and go here and that stuff.
Right.
So it's kind of funny, the perspective of people.
A slice of perspective I've gotten is over the years interviewing many people from all over the country, a lot of West Coast guys. Somebody had said it years ago. I think, Chris, it was on the show with you and I. I can't remember who it was, though, but they said, you guys, they said we had in the West Coast, we had the weather. So it was always summer for us. We could do the stuff,
around.
10 out of 12 months easily. You guys had to do it under a deadline because fall and then winter was coming and snow was coming. So you guys had to pack it in and figure out how to get it all done.
Yes.
I said, wow, I never really thought about that. Yeah, know.
At Teaneck Armory years ago, a car show, George Barris came back east with his air car thing. And at the time, he insulted a lot of people when he said it, but it made a lot of sense. He got up and he said the difference between East Coast guys and West Coast guys, he says, a West Coast guy will make $100 a week. He'll spend $10 a week to live on and spend $90 on his car. East Coast guys make $100 a week. They spend $90 to live on and $10 on their car. And people are all kind of like, oh, that's terrible to say that. But it's true because we were battling elements. We had to drive these cars to work every day for the school or whatever, where we didn't have that luxury of painting a car in the driveway, things like that, So it was always harder for us. That's why, like I said, I think the East Coast guys really appreciate it more, what we had, than a lot of other people. I hope I'm not pissing off people in California. But
because it was harder to do it on the East Coast than it was on the West Coast, obviously. Not only that, but we had to endure the elements, other than the biting cold, 4 months, 5 months out of the year. But we still had rust. We still had salt on the roads. We still had all those things that we had to combat. So
I remember car shows in the wintertime in Paterson, New Jersey, where people were driving their cars in the snow, coming to the Armory and cleaning them off outside and then pulling them in just to try to have a car show, and it was crazy, some of the stuff that we went through to get things like that done and put together.
Yeah, the New York Coliseum was another one that was done like
guys,
that.
Yes.
And of course,
were you guys there the year when Freddie Denang drove his funny car through the car show?
Oh God, no! I know who he is very well. I wrote a few articles about that man. He also was down at Coney Island on Stillwell Avenue. It's on Scotty Gosson's blog. It's scottygosson.blogspot.com. I can never forget that. I wrote a big article about cannolis and the name and being on Stillwell.
Broadway Freddie. Yeah.
That article is still up. You can go check it out.
I'll have to. Yeah, Freddie fired up the funny car right in the middle of for the loadout on the show and did a burnout in the Nassau Coliseum.
Was that the Camaro that he was? Was that his Camaro maybe, or because
I can't remember whether it was the Camaro or
later on he went to the Saturday Night Fever theme, the
the yellow one,
Tommy gun.
Yeah.
Which that goes up in Connecticut now.
Artie, that's my neck of the woods. That's where I grew up.
In Connecticut?
No, in Brooklyn.
Still
Yeah, all in Broadway Freddie Deneen territory.
Warriors, come out and play. Yeah.
Know every single scene.
And he had a chimpanzee.
Yes.
Remember Lucy? It was Lucy, I think. It was, yeah.
Yeah. That was
that I didn't know.
Lucy would be him at the racetrack, and he'd get mad at Lucy for something. Lucy would throw a wrench at him or something like that. I mean, it was hilarious. It was really funny. You know.
That's funny.
Peace. You know,
Wow.
Cool stuff.
That is amazing.
We're going to take a bottom of the hour break shortly, and I want to cover a bunch of stuff. I want to kind of cover, if we can, encapsulate it, how you started into this great field of yours, and and any thoughts you have for people who may want to come into it. How, just even in the art field, what people should do, because I see now a lot of young kids are kind of floundering. They don't know what to do. They're all getting master's degrees and stuff that they're not going to use. They don't know what the hell they're doing. So,
well, that's our education system, Nathan, and I probably shouldn't go into that.
Yeah, no.
But yeah, there's a lot of young strikers coming up, and I have an opinion, which I'm never afraid to voice, but I think some of them get into it for the wrong reason. They do it because they think it's cool. We did it because we could make a buck, and we could get to hang around with the car people and stuff like that. But then again, too, we had auto shop, and like you and I talked earlier, they don't have that background. They don't. Everything is spontaneous now for some people.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm sorry. I didn't get interrupted right there.
No, that's okay. It's just a couple things I want to we're going to talk about. We would normally have had our phone line set up, but we're having an internet problem. I think the streaming is down. The phone, of course, we're doing that via a cell phone. That's down, so we can't entertain any listeners' calls, which I would have loved to do. That's why I like the platform we're on.
It'd be good though, because probably have a lot of people calling in that don't like me, so they would.
Well, yeah, there's that.
God bless people on Long Island.
Yeah, so people who are listening, if you're trying to call, and you can't get through, this is why. It's not our fault. It's
right. And when we get the phones working, we'll just bring you back, Artie. That's that's how it works. That's how it works. Hey, do we have time for the Motormouth Radio Honor Group of the Hour, Ray?
Please do, yes.
All righty. We do every week. We do the Motormouth Radio Honor Group of the Hour. We like to honor a certain group of people. We only honor them for the hour because it's only an hour show. But this week, the Motormouth Radio Honor Group of the Hour, if you've fallen asleep under your car. That's right. You're getting ready for the oil change, or you're getting ready to do that clutch job, or you're hiding from the wife. Either way, if you fell asleep under your car at one point or another, you're part of the Motormouth Radio Honor Group of the Hour. There you go.
That's a good one. That's a good one. I've almost, I've done that a few times, Chris. I've been under the car and in a project, and you get jammed up. You can't figure something out, and I put my head back and say, okay, let me just think about it. You almost don't want to get out, maybe because it's too cold, or you're in that.
No, you're comfortable.
Yeah, and you just kind of lay back and say, let me just think about this for a minute. And there's a big chance of dozing off. So you got to be careful.
Like that was an oil spot on your forehead.
All day. Okay. All right. So with that, we are going to take our bottom of the hour break, and we'll be back with more Motormouth Radio. Ray Guarino with Chris Switzer and Artie Schilling from the former Artie's Party. We'll be back to talk more about history and what's going to go on maybe into the future on Motormouth Radio on 90.3 WHPC. This show on 90.3 WHPC is brought to you by CarStar Celebrity Chase Collision, with 2 locations in Lynbrook and Oceanside, who remind you that New York State law says you always have the right to choose which shop you want to have your car fixed at. CarStar Celebrity Chase Collision offers a full range of services: 24-hour towing between Montauk and Manhattan, shuttle service, and they can help you with a rental car arrangement if needed. And yes, se habla español. More information is available by calling 516-593-0920 or visiting online at celebritychasecollision.com.
This show is brought to you by On the Road Again Motorcycle School. Hi, I'm Steve Bertolini, the president of On the Road Again Motorcycle School, and I'd like to tell you that life is short, so live a little by learning how to ride a motorcycle. Classes are available from beginner riders to advanced, including private lessons. Lessons are offered on the campuses of Nassau Community College and Suffolk Community Community College. Also offering the License Waiver class, where you can skip the DMV. More information about On the Road Again Motorcycle School can be found by calling 631-862-RIDE. That's 631-862-RIDE. Or online at LRN2ride.com.
We are back on Motormouth Radio, Long Island, and maybe Connecticut's only automotive talk show. We haven't solved that yet. We don't know. You're back on with Ray Guarino, Chris Switzer, and with Artie from Artie's Party. Artie Schilling is with us. Artie, it's time to talk business. We're getting into the second half of the show. Let's dispel the myth about why Artie's Party is not taking place right now. This is the time to get that record set straight.
Cool, great, and I appreciate the opportunity to do that, because it's a shame that rumors always go around all over the place about different things. Basically, the reason that we brought it to an end is we're tired. My wife and I turned 75 this year. I went through some health issues the past couple of years, a prostate deal and stuff like that. And what people don't realize is this was a 365-day-a-year project for her and I. We both have regular work. I have my shop, and my wife's an accountant. But she said to me one day, she said, can we, at some time in our life, do a vacation that doesn't involve a car show? Because our schedule for the year, our normal thing, would be the last week in January, I'd be in Pomona at the Grand National Roadster Show. In March, I'd be in Detroit for the Autorama. And then we'd gear up for Artie's Party in July. And then, before that, in May, we're in Santa Maria for West Coast Customs on Memorial Day weekend. I did a charity event there. And then Artie's Party. And then back to Winfield's in October and the SEMA show. And then we do another charity event in November in Texas for a soldier who was killed in Afghanistan. And so it was a long, grueling thing in a way. I hate to say it that way, but for us. And at the same time, after 14 years, I just want to see somebody else pick it up and do something, and give somebody else the opportunity to do something, really. At the same time, Bob O'Connor, who had started the Syracuse Nationals, who really is the guy who said, let's do Artie's Party, Bob passed away. And Bob was like a brother to me. We're so close friends. And his son, Robbie, has taken it over. And Robbie is great. He's done a super job with it. People just don't realize the undertaking of putting together a car show with 100,000 people and 10,000 cars. But it was just, everything just kind of fell in place. It was just a good time for us to step away. And we did. And I'm not 100% happy about it. I feel bad a lot because of all the friendship thing, all the people I got together from all over the world. I mean, this is like a homecoming every year, and I love doing it. But it just got to be such a grind on us that it was really Linda said, we need to step back a little bit. And I said, well, if we're going to do that, we're going to cancel everything. And she said, no, let's just kind of step back some of the time. And so we still do Santa Maria, which was canceled, and we still do Winfield, which hasn't been canceled yet. October 10th is the schedule for Gene. But I was just told here this past week, they canceled the Rose Bowl parade at the beginning of January, and that is right at the same time at the Grand National Roadster Show. And if they're stepping that far out, I'm kind of afraid that we're not going to see anything happening for the rest of the year. So in a way, it timed out good that we did stop, because right now, last weekend would have been Artie's Party. But it just was basically a thing of wanting to slow myself down a little bit. I've been going 90 miles an hour for well over 30 years, between my shop and then, like I said, I did seminars for the sign industry around the country. There was sometimes when I'd be away from home 3 weekends out of the 4 in the month. And we moved here to South Carolina. We live at the beach, and we try to enjoy it. So that was basically what it came down. There was no hard feelings, no breakup or anything between us. When I went to Robbie O'Connor and I said, Robbie, I think Linda and I are going to hold it in. And Robbie's response was, I hate to see you do it, but I understand it 100%.
Yeah.
Because he knows what's involved in running something like that.
Sure. Yeah.
So it was a good time. So just for everybody out there, it was my decision, mine and Linda, and we love it. I can't thank enough the people who supported us all these years, not just the artists and not just the artist family, but the companies that stepped up and then people like George Steisek and Scott Steisek, Pacers, who came every year when we added the Gasoline Alley that Dino put on for us, which was another show within itself. You know, we had over 60 nostalgia race cars. And here again, you know, get on the phone and call Bruce Larson, call Rocky Perone, and, you know, you name it. And, hey, would you guys come up? And nobody got paid. I mean, nobody got anything out of this. I got them a discount on the hotel room, and we feed them. But so many people made this thing happen. And I kind of, in a way, I kind of felt like the guy who goes every year asking the same people, hey, would you do me a favor? You know, so I didn't want to burn up all the relationship. But there's so many people out there. Al Liebman from the Frantic Ford Funny Car team and Rocky. Al, behind the scenes, did so much for me. A couple of years ago when we built that Pontiac station wagon we auctioned off, within a matter of like a week's time, we had 50 companies involved in it. And I got to admit, 40 of them was Al, you know, getting on it, bringing them into the picture with us and all. So the friendships that I made and the just the memories and everything that came out of it, it's honestly, it's the high point in my life. I feel like it's something that I accomplished. Linda and I would go home every year saying, this is it, we're done, we're retired. And then it would be, well, hey, you know what we can do next year? And we did that. And even to this past year, Linda said, when we said that we weren't doing it, she said, look, if you feel you want to do it one more year, I'll go along with it. But one more year led to the next one more year and so and so.
Yeah. So where do you go from here? Do you have a site? Do you have a plan? Or is it just kind of like we
I ride to the beach on my golf cart a lot. Okay. No, we still, we're actually, and I can say it on here because it ain't going to hurt me. We're actually toying with the idea, the original Artie's party, the first 2 years were held here at the shop, like I said, just friends getting together and eating some good food and stuff like that. And Linda brought this up last week because I've been stir crazy, staying at home, not doing anything. And she said, maybe we ought to have an Artie's party at the shop. So we're considering doing something in a small, you know, in the fall. We'll broadcast live from there. That'll be cool.
Yeah.
You guys. But yeah, we're thinking of that. We're still doing the West Coast Customs with Penny Bichette, which was canceled Memorial Day weekend. It was going to be October 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, and has now been canceled. So next year it'll be back on. We're still doing the the Alex Viola Foundation in November in Texas, and James Winfield's October 10th is still scheduled, but I kind of got a feeling that I could be able to pull that off. But I still want to do that. I still love going out to the coast. We have a whole group of friends out there. And one of these days we're going to do something in New England. I don't know if it'll be to the scale of Artie's party, you know, but we'll do something. And I'm still very much dedicated to Ronald McDonald there in Syracuse. They're such wonderful people. Right. So I'm just figuring out ways we can help them out. Matter of fact, there's 2 pedal cars sitting by me. I know you guys can see them. Gene gave me 250 Mercury fiberglass pedal car bodies, which Jimmy and I have built 7 of them here at the shop with various auctions. And those are the next 2 projects that we're doing. And they're going to go up in auction here someplace. Maybe a live auction on the air. Who knows? Kind of open for everything. But I'm not crawling into a hole and going away or anything like that. You know, I still
No, I like the fact that you're looking to reinvent Artie's Party. I think that that's fantastic because the name, you think about the brand, you think about the name, and that's the first thing I think about is like the money and the time invested in Artie's Party, in that name. And now you go and take it and just put it aside, to me is like heartbreaking, even just that alone. So that you're looking to reinvent it and looking to maybe do it on a smaller scale and something a little bit more exclusive. Sounds very cool.
The hard part about that is somebody's going to be offended if they don't get an invitation because it's going to be hard to have 60 people at the shop here. But we'll try it. We'll pull it off. I don't care if I have to rent a place or something like that. But that was another thing too. Paul Puza from up there up around Poughkeepsie, he's a painter, does cars, and started striping and stuff. Paul came to me and said, I would like to continue Artie's Party. I would like to carry that on and carry your legacy on. And I said to him, I'm 100% for you doing something at Syracuse. I'll give you the list of all the people who are involved. I'll help you every way I can. I don't want it to be called Artie's Party. I want you to put your own name in. Because it's somebody else doing the work, and they should be the ones who are recognized for it. In a way, I'm sorry I ever called it Artie's Party. I should have called it Everybody's Party because it takes a lot of people to make this thing work. And if the artists didn't show up and do their thing, we wouldn't have it. But I'm very proud of it. And the other reason I wanted to keep that name for myself was because, and I probably told you this at some time over the years, my dad was from Germany. I never had kids over the house. I never had a sleepover. Birthday parties were my mom and dad and my sister. Never had a friend or anything like that. So that's why it was Artie's Party, because it was my party. I could do whatever the hell I wanted to do. I invited whoever I wanted. And if I wanted to do something completely off the wall, I did it. And that was because it was my deal. So I could do it. So I'm very proud of that. I really am. And like I said, it's sad that in a way that it's going away. But I'm trying to give somebody else the opportunity to do something.
Right. So instead of Artie's Party, it'll be it'll be Art Party or Artist Party.
I think they were going to call it the Syracuse Panel Jam or something like that. I can't remember offhand. Naturally, that got canceled. But like I said, because there's so much work, I want to see somebody else pick that up. I've always tried to encourage people to do good things for other people. With my grandkids and all, to try to give back a little bit. So by me stepping back, giving somebody else the opportunity, and maybe they got better ideas. I don't know. Let them do it their way. But,
like I said earlier, from the people I've met on the Thursday night show, they are doing that, and they do recognize where it came from. The people who know you, and they do. They have. I've never asked them what they call it. They usually just call it a panel jam.
Yeah.
But it is the same thing, and it is living on. It doesn't necessarily always have to have a name. It just has to. The spirit is what it's all about.
Absolutely. Yep. Absolutely.
Yep.
There's something that we're all aware of this. We're losing community, the sense of community in this country, and cell phones, all this stuff, and the internet, and all. It's separating people. Here we are in 4 different places instead of sitting in a room together doing this. And we're losing that, and that's a very important part of our society. And all this going on now, social distancing, and all of this is, to me, very, very destructive. It's very damaging to our sense of community. So I hope that we get through this soon, and that people can start doing things again, and getting back to, I like walking up and hugging people and stuff.
Yeah.
I love seeing people that I haven't seen in a while.
I got to say, that's what I miss about not doing the show live with Chris. We would see each other before the show, and we would kiss and hug, and when we did the same thing. You told us
my brother.
You told us a story years ago about coming back to Patterson with one of the guys from down south.
Yeah.
You relate that, because that to me is radio gold.
Actually, what it was, we were actually going to Atlantic City to it was the International Sign Show that was being held down there. And again, we were doing the pinstriping thing, a charity thing. But I had 2 guys with me from down here, one from North Carolina, one from South Carolina, both pinstripers, great stripers, Jim Norris and Joe Buck. And we drove up to to New Jersey, and neither one of them had ever been there. So I took them first to Patterson and took them around to some of my old haunts to get to see what it was like, living there and stuff like that. And then we went to Atlantic City and we did the whole thing for the weekend. And Joe Buck turned around and said, after the weekend was over, I said, "You had a good time?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "The only thing kind of throws me," he said, "don't you guys own anything but black clothing?" He said, "Because you're in black all the time." I said, "Yeah, well, that's the Italian thing, too. It's got a lot to do with it,
Right, because when there's a funeral, we're ready.
Yeah, we're ready, yeah. He said, but also, he said, it was kind of weird, because like at night, after the show was over, we'd all stay at the Radisson Hotel, and we kind of took over the upstairs area and had our own little party there, and we'd get a pad and start doing cartoons of each other, and it got pretty crazy. But he said, it really floors me. He says, all you guys, you bust each other's chops all the time. You always run each other down and all, and then you kiss and hug. I said, yeah. I said, that's the way it is. If somebody doesn't bust my chops, I don't think they like me. That's just not. And he said, the other thing, too, he said that we realized, he said, as outsiders, he says, we better not say anything like that to you guys. He said, because you're really quick to defend each other and all. I said, yeah. I said, that's the misconception of people in the New York area. They think that we don't bother with each other, we don't talk to each other, we don't do things together and all. We are so much tighter than anybody else around. When I go to California, sometimes it'll be Mr. J, Mikey Frederick, Zeke, Howie, Nubs from Orange County Choppers. We would do these trips to California to go to car shows and pinstripe for auction. And we'd go to visit people's shops. We go to Chip Booze's shop. We go to, you name it. And these guys would turn around and say, wow, you guys all hang out with each other. I said, there'll be, I remember, and I won't mention his name, but a well-known striper, we're at his shop. And I said, geez, so-and-so's right down the street. You guys spend a lot of time together? No, I don't see him. I said, no, you don't. No, we're friends, but I don't see. California, you stay in your house. You kind of stay separate. They're not as camaraderie as we are.
Yeah,
right.
But yeah, so we all wear black and we all beat each other to death. That's our claim to fame.
It's a great, know what? And that really does encapsulate it because it is so true. Chris reminds me of a certain radio show. Because people have said that to us, through the years, like even in private, like, hey, I noticed that you guys, you guys like, you kill each other on the air, but then you kiss and hug. I'm like, well, yeah, because we'll defend each other to the death. I mean,
totally,
that's the way it goes. I mean, you don't you get it? Like, like, no.
Yeah. People, like I said, Linda and I lived in Colorado for 20 years, and we lived in small towns. And my father-in-law, the Italian bricklayer from New Jersey, and his only daughter, only one of his 8 kids living away. Why do you have to live in Colorado? What the hell's so special about Colorado? And I said, I could go into a convenience store and there's 10 loaves of bread on the shelf. And there's 8 or 9 people who need them. In New Jersey, there's 10 loaves of bread on the shelf and there's 20 people who need them. So you kind of get a little hostile, a little self-defensive and stuff like that. But God forbid, don't say anything about any of my friends or anything. Because
that's true.
We defend each other, and it came out when Sandy hit the hurricane and stuff. Just showed you how tight New York and New Jersey people can be, and that's something to be very proud of. I think that's something really great part of my heritage.
Absolutely. Right.
So how is that? How did that all? How does that all play down in the Carolinas? Because I have some family down there, and they want me to come live down there, and I'm like, gee, I don't know. Yankees in the South, I don't know.
Oh boy, am I going to get my ass in trouble with this one. The South is surviving because of the Yankees that moved down here.
Yeah.
Okay? I hate money. And I'm not belittling anybody, believe me. But we come from an industrial mindset in the North. In the South, it's an agricultural mindset. And things get done down here because of people from the North, really. It's the truth. Biggest part of my business here is guys from the North, who buy brand new cars and want a pinstripe on it, and they don't want that tape on there. They want them hand painted, and they still take a lot of pride in their vehicles and stuff like that. South Carolina is a beautiful place to live. It's a very conservative state. To this day, the governor has still not told everybody they got to put a mask on or anything like that, which has caused a lot of problems. They opened up the beaches back here before Memorial Day weekend, and the cases have spiked. We're one of the hot spots in the country. But my taxes this year are $612, guys, on a 2,800 square foot house.
Wow.
So people are moving
for 2 months.
Oh, people are moving here in droves. I live on what was the Deer Tracks golf course. They're now putting 300 houses in my backyard.
Oh, wow.
And my wife and I are just like flipping. And we're saying, who would want to live here? You got a yard that's 10 foot deep. Well, if you come from Bethpage, Long Island, 10-foot yard is okay,
Yeah, that's like acreage.
Yeah, so people move down here, and it doesn't snow, and we don't put snow tires on our cars and stuff like that. So there's a lot of advantage. We've actually gone swimming in February down here.
Wow. Yeah, it's funny. We have a good friend, Mike Mooney, who was from up here. Big racer and all. He's big in the Griffith motor cars. He runs that whole society. He's in North Carolina. And I asked him the same question years ago, and he says, "Hey, Ray," he goes, "let me tell you something." He goes, "When you come down here in a town where there's people," he says, "it's us," meaning the New York guys and the New Jersey guys. He goes, "we run everything." He goes, "It's just like home." He goes, "If you want to go up off the beaten path to where Bubba is," he goes, "lock and load, brother." He goes, "You're on your own." He says, "Otherwise, you can't pizza." We have
a kind of a circuit down here, and we tell them, when they move here, if you need a plumber, an electrician, right, call me first, and I'll tell you who to talk to.
Right.
You're the guy who's going to show up.
Right. Well, and up here we call that like, "I got a guy."
Yeah, I got a guy.
You call It happened this week. Like a friend calls, "Listen, I need a guy." A guy for what? All right, I'll give you the guy. I'll give you my guy, and then there's another guy too who's good for the second guy's good if the first guy don't come through.
The downside of living here to me is I don't have a muffler shop down the street. I mean, the kind that could build you an exhaust system. There's no chrome platers in South Carolina.
Oh, yeah.
Not one.
Really?
I go to North Carolina. The guy from North Carolina that I have done my work for me up there by Charlotte is actually from New Jersey. So
there you go.
So, there's not industrial services and things like that down here because this is a tourist place. People come here to go to the beach. But it's still nice place to live. I would move tomorrow back to Colorado if my wife would go.
Yeah,
I love the lifestyle out there. But this is good. This is fine. Good place to be.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny, Artie. Just to touch on going north. Here in Connecticut, there's snow, but you touched a nerve when you said you were living behind a golf course, and now it's all of a sudden it's turned into 300 new homes because people are moving so quickly to your area. In Connecticut, I have a horse farm behind my house. It's going to be a horse farm for the next generation because it's already been a horse farm for 3 generations.
Right.
And it's been a concern of mine. I'm like, well, what happens when the horse farm decides to leave and we have 300 people? Right. No, that won't happen. Not here, at least. As of this year, it won't happen.
I'm sure that's what Artie said about that golf course, too.
It's true.
But never going away. There's 80 people a day moving into South Carolina.
Wow.
Now, when you think about that 80 people, how many families don't have 2 cars?
Sure. No. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
so you're talking about 150 cars a day moving in. And again, like I said, for people from up north who are paying $12,000, $14,000, $18,000 a year taxes to come down here and get a brand new house, and the taxes are $1,000, and you're living by the beach, and you can drive a golf cart up to 4 miles from your house anywhere. So we live on golf carts.
Right.
It's a very desirable type of living. Yeah.
But now, Artie, the big question is: the golf cart striped?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Striped and gold leaf and
Rolls Royce grill
on it, and I do a lot of them. Jimmy the airbrush artist who shares the shop with me, is so incredible. He'll do the full tilt ones, and then I'll do the striping on them and stuff like that. But I probably stripe 2 or 3 a month or so.
Wow, that's awesome.
It's the guys from the north. They've got to come down here and got to jack them up in the air and neon lights on them and stuff like that. It's hilarious.
Artie, you got to send me a picture of some of those golf carts. I'd love to see them.
I will definitely do that.
And we're getting ready. We're getting towards the end of the show. We're going to wrap in about 2 minutes. How can people find you or get in touch with you, find your work and whatever?
EastCoastArtie.com, ARTIE.com,
right,
is my business site. Like I said, I'm pretty close on the retirement thing. I'll never quit. I'll always strive it. But EastCoastArtie.com, and then there's also Artie's Party, ARTIESPARTY. And even though the event's not going up, we're keeping the website up because there's a great gallery of photographs and videos and stuff like that. So artiesparty.com, they can reach me at that too.
Great.
And then on Facebook, it's just Art Schilling. I'm always posting things like Winfield Watson's shows and some of the different events going on and things like that. Like
right.
Stuff.
Excellent.
Very cool. Very
and now
cool.
that we have reestablished, we're not going to let you out of our sites. We've got all the contact information right, so we're going to keep in touch with you. And
when are we going to do a New York Nationals reunion?
Oh, wow. There was one at Englishtown when Englishtown was still a racetrack.
Still a racetrack, yeah.
Done away with that. That was about 2 or 3 years ago they did that.
I remember something, yeah. But there's not many places to hold anymore now. ATCO is going away.
ATCO is going, right, exactly.
Next Sunday is Englishtown, or Island Dragway's 60th anniversary. I want to mention that because that's I was 16 years old when I went down that track the first time. I didn't even have a driver's license.
Wow.
And the Kowalik family have kept that going for all these years, even after the mom and dad died. It's great. It's really good. We need them kind of thing.
Excellent.
We're all going to have to meet at Carlisle or something like that.
Yeah, if they keep doing that, too. You know,
That's awesome.
shame.
Yeah, it is. Well, yeah, it's a shame that they're all gone, but it's awesome.
Any closing thoughts before we wrap this mess? And then you can stay on with us a little bit if you'd like. We can chat a little bit after the show, like we usually do. But
again, I just want to thank everybody who, not just the artists, the companies, the sponsorship, the people who came and spent money at the auction. I mean, those are the ones that really should be identified or recognized. For Ronald McDonald House, at the end of last year, we missed hitting $500,000 by, I think, about 8,000 for over a 7-year period. And we had done $280,000 for McMahon Ryan House and then $30,000 for Parents Plus. So we've done up on the ups of $800,000 just for Artie's Party alone. And then Richard Westlake, my auctioneer, tells me that between that and California and all, we've raised over $1 million for children's charities. And I can't thank people enough for giving me the opportunity to do this and to do something that my wife and I are so proud of and so grateful for. But it's everybody. It's everybody who, you guys, I mean, for coming up there and putting me on the air and having more people know about it and all. I mean, every person that has ever been involved in Artie's Party should be just as proud as I am, because we all made it work. We all made it happen.
All right, Artie, with that, we have to cut. We got to get out of here. Kim is waiting to come in. Hang with us, and thank you for coming on. For Chris Switzer, Ray Guarino, Artie Schilling, thank you. And we're out of here for today. Motormouth Radio is done. 90.3 WHPC.